Hello everybody and welcome back, and the party are in this very large chamber that has a dais and an altar. On top of the altar is a dead ape that seemed to be being prepared for some kind of sacrifice by some lizard men. This level of the temple seems to be occupied by lizard men. Upstairs there were troglodytes. There may still be some more troglodytes to be found. The party are looking for clues as to the origins of, well, the mystery of the Isle of Dread. And also, last time I did say level 2 monsters don't really cut it anymore for the party, and let's just blast away through this. That didn't turn out to be the case, and a lot of damage was received. The lizard men put up a hell of a fight. We will rest, we will recuperate, and just have a little look around this room to see what's going on. That's another turn of light gone. And while that is happening, Sylvia will get a dose of the Staff of Healing, as she is just on 12 hit points. Okay, she's up to 18. Now, the party have two options. They can either leave and go outside, rest, and try and tackle this place when they've got some better spells memorized and some more health back. Or the alternative is they just try to clear out this level with what they have. They still have quite a lot up their sleeves. If they do leave, they do have the advantage of coming back refreshed, but there's also a chance that the occupants will pursue them once all the dead bodies have been discovered. What to do? To leave or to stay? I think Donard, who's got the best health, is for staying. Carrick, who's on 16, would rather leave. We do have healing potions, you know, and I'm very, and I am, like most people, very tight with my resources. I think I'm going to use one of them, so that's 1d6 plus 1. Okay, he's back up to 20. Right, like all of these things, those 4 extra hit points might just mean the difference between life and death. Following on from the logic that you don't want to explore too deeply into the dungeon until you've covered your back, the party don't want to go down into this corridor until they have tried out this exit here. So they go back and they creep along here and they come to a closed door. Liz is going to listen at the door. She doesn't hear anything. Let's see if she can silently open the door. She can easily, so I used a move silently roll to see if she can open the door, and inside it's pitch black. I think Malin is going to shutter the lantern, and Sylvia and Carrick, using infravision, can look in and they see the 4 bodies still warm but in a recumbent position, and they can hear the gentle wheezing. There are 4 creatures in here, clearly asleep. That gives us a good advantage on them, so what we can do is we can throw open the lantern. Donard, who does not have infravision, can take up the front position as guided by Carrick. Carrick can join him just at the back, and I think we'll take up the usual 2 at the front, 3 at the back. We have a haste and a bless spell, and I think it's about time we cast the bless spell. So +1 to hit and damage. We can say the bless spell was cast about here, so it didn't disturb whoever is sleeping. Right, let's just go in. These creatures won't get surprise on us because we have seen them. We might get surprise on them. If we don't, then we will get 1 free round before they rise. If we do get surprise, we will get 2 free rounds. So do we get a 1 or a 2? We don't. We don't get surprise, but we get free attack while they get up from their beds. So Malin is behind with the lantern. What is this room? From the player's point of view, the original purpose of this room has been long forgotten. The floor is heaped with mouldy grass and slimy, rotted leaves. 4 troglodyte brutes are asleep here. If a thief can successfully scout this room, then the party can gain surprise while they sleep. Otherwise, the troglodytes are well camouflaged in the gloom. Their camouflage didn't protect against infravision. They have a chance to rise before the party attacks. That's if they're not discovered, and so there is no surprise for either side. I'm going to have to rewrite this little bit to make it more clear what the different possibilities are for surprise and initiative. We get 1 free attack, so we get initiative really. We have bless upon us, so let's roll for missile attacks. Our 3 archers are sort of in a little triangle position in the doorway. I'm going to write Donard here, Carrick here, and 2 of the troglodytes on each. Liz, Sylvia, Maridin are there. Let's do Liz. +1 for short range, +1 for bless. She hits and she does 4 damage. One of the ones is down to 14. Sylvia, who's going to help out Carrick, hits and does 4 onto that. Remember, she has got longbow skill, a longbow +1 for bless, so that's 7 damage. So she has taken 1 from 18 to 11. Maridin, right, add 2 onto that, and his missile Thaco is 13, so he hits armor class 3. And a troglodyte brute has an AC of 4, so he hits, and he gets 3 onto that. A second troglodyte brute is down to 15. Let's do Donard. Oh yes, good show. That's 9 damage. That's enough to kill one of them. Let's do Carrick. And he misses. I forgot to do the nausea roll. Donard would have hit anyway. Carrick would have missed anyway. So I will do the nausea. Even though they're asleep, they give off this revolting stench from their wheezy snoring. Now Donard is the orange dice, Carrick is the green. They have to make a save versus poison. Donard fails, Carrick succeeds. So that's round number 1. Round number 2, these guys are up like a shot. They don't need to grab a weapon. They attack with their claws and their teeth. Essentially, they maul people, more like animals than any kind of civilized race. Let's roll for initiative. They get initiative. Their intentions, well, there's 1 on Donard and 2 on Carrick. And they are just melee fighters, so we'll do the 1 on Donard. It's 2 claws. They have a Thaco of 16. They need an 18 to hit him. What about the bite? That one misses. Right, there are 2 on Carrick, so that's 4 claws and 2 bites. That one just misses. He gets hit for 3 points. He's down to 17. What about the 2 bites? He gets hit for another 5, he's down to 12. Oh my god. Our go, missile attacks. I'll do the 1 on Donard. Liz is attacking it. And she fumbles. I'll do the 2, the one that Maridin and Sylvia are attacking. Sylvia, she hits, and again she does 4 onto that, that's 7. One of the lizard men on Carrick is down to 4. Maridin. Ah yes, nice one. He takes the other one down to 6. Melee. Donard has a fresh one that has 18 hit points. Well, he hits and he does 8 damage. Carrick has got 2 on him. And he hits and he kills one of them. Round number 3. Let's roll for initiative. They get initiative again. There are only 2 left. The 1 on Donard hits him for 2 points. He's down to 46. Then gets a bite in. That misses. The 1 that's on Carrick misses, and lastly misses. Our go. They have 4 and 10 hit points. Let's do archery. That's Liz, who hits and takes the 1 on Donard to 6. Sylvia's shooting the 1 that's on Carrick. It only has 4 hit points left. She misses. Maridin misses. Donard hits and kills the 1 on him. Just kills it. And Carrick hits and it just kills the one on him. So that's 4 troglodyte brutes killed in what must be their barracks. Another chance to recover and think what to do. Carrick is not in the best condition. He does have a crossbow and we could put Donard up front to take everything. The party are back out in the corridor. There are no wandering monsters. What do we do? Do we stay or do we go? Remember, the party have no idea how big this temple is. There might be 20 more rooms of enemies left, plus there might be a 3rd level. Let's give the party a break while they decide what to do. I think the party will go on for a bit. Here is the little page I prepped with the resources. And I thought we had about 5 healing potions. We have 3, so I have to take one off there. We've got 2 Cure Light Wound scrolls, Hold Person scrolls, though I don't think a troglodyte is subject to Hold Person. Shall we check up on that? Right, this says it will affect any human, demi-human or human-like creature, and it does list lizard men among them, and bugbears and hobgoblins. And it does say here, a troglodyte is an intelligent, human-like reptile. So, back to this book, one would assume the word human-like here and the word human-like in troglodyte do match up. As always, all of those with better experience can add to that. So yes, in terms of disposable stuff, we have a lot going on. We still have striking and 2 haste spells. The Bless spell will last for 6 turns. We've used it for 2, and if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll have used it for 4 turns to get roughly to this door here, which means we have 2 turns left. I will roll twice for Wandering Monsters, and there is one of them. Okay, right, this is what I have written about Wandering Monsters. Roll 1d6 for every 2 turns the party spend in a corridor. A roll of 1 means a single troglodyte jumps out and attacks a member of the party, getting a free attack. Ask for the party's marching order and roll an appropriate dice to select the target. If a selected party member is close to death, then roll again. These attacks are to add tension, not ruin the game. So with Malin in the middle, holding the lamp, creeping along these dark corridors at that usual very cautious speed of 60 feet every 10 minutes. Troglodytes have a really good camouflage, and my marching order is Donard and Carragher at the front, Malin is 3rd, followed by Liz, Maridin and Sylvia at the back. Okay, who gets jumped by the troglodyte? And it's Malin. He is not exactly close to death yet, but will he survive with an AC of 9? And they have a THAC0 of 16, which means they just need a 7 to hit him. And they hit him twice for 8 points. He's down to 8. And another 4. All of a sudden, our mage gets absolutely savaged by 2 claws and a bite from this troglodyte. Let's just assume the corridors are broken and uneven, and this troglodyte was patrolling and ducked into a niche. Well, luckily for him, Donard and Carrick are right beside him. Liz is just there as well. We have to roll for round number 1. And we get initiative. Good, right. Well, I think I know what Malin's going to do. Intentions, Liz is going to switch to her sword. That's her go. Maridin is going to shoot. Sylvia, I'm going to say, does not have line of sight. And Carrick and Donard are going to turn and attack it. Malin is going to run behind his sister. What else can he do? So that's the intentions over, the movement round, that's what happens. I will do nausea for Carrick and Donard. Donard is the orange dice. Carrick makes his saving throw versus poison, Donard does not. So they have their attacks. Donard, yes, despite everything. Right, that's a 9, and his melee THAC0 is 13, so he just hits armor class 4. Well, it's actually armor class 5. He cleans that surprise boy out. Ah, this is not a troglodyte brute. This is a troglodyte. They have AC 5 and they do 1d4 damage, so I will re-roll Malin's damage in a minute. Okay. But in the meantime, Donard just cleans that guy out with one hit. Remember, we do have Bless on us, so he does a total of 11 damage. It only had 10. Let's correct Malin's 3 damage dice. That's 5. That's 6 damage. He is at 10 hit points, not 4. Well, with that shock out of the way, there's a door here. Let's have Liz listen at the door. And what does she hear? She hears that sort of hard clicking, clacking of an exoskeleton as it ticks and clicks around the place. So we can expect some giant insects in this room. Let's go in, shall we? Okay, in the usual order, I will add 30 minutes of extra lamp oil to get us to here. It's unlikely these creatures will surprise us. We have heard them. Shall we rush in and see if we can surprise them? Why not? A roll of 1 to 2. Yes, the party do rush in. That is the movement round, and there are 2 carrion crawlers. Let's do a roll for each of them. 1 to 2 is the floor, 3 to 4 is a wall, and 5 to 6 is a ceiling. Right, 1 is on the wall and 1 is on the ceiling. I would say if the 1 is on the wall, it's here, and that is too far to get an attack. The movement round is enough to get Donard and Carrick to there. The 1 on the ceiling, however, can be shot 3 times, and we still have Bless upon us. Liz, that's an 8 for short range. Her missile Thaco is 14, so she hits AC 6. Carrion Crawler has AC 7, and she does 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7 damage. It's down to 8 HP. Sylvia hits, does 4 onto that. It's got 1 hit point left. Maradin. That's a 5 plus 2 is 7. His ranged Thaco is 13. He does indeed hit armor class 7. Kills the 1 on the ceiling. So before it knows what's happening, it's got 3 arrows in it and it just drops with a screech and splats onto the floor. So it's officially round number 1. Let's roll for surprise. There's a carrion crawler on this wall, and it gets surprised. Who will it choose to attack? It's undecided. And it goes for Donard. It has 8 attacks. It has a Thaco of 16. It needs an 18 or more to hit Donard. And it hits once. It hits twice. It hits twice. He has to make 2 saving throws versus paralysis. For him is normally 12, but his ring plus 1 brings that to 11. And he fails one of them, so our cleric is paralysed. We have a stout, veritable dwarf. By the way, if you hear crows in the background, that's not a sound effect, that's nature. Carrick. Right, Bless is on that, so that's a 4. His melee Thaco is 11, so indeed he just hits armor class 7 and wipes out that carrion crawler. So we just have to sit here and wait for Donard to come out of his paralysis. This gives us a chance to look at the room. This is called the archive. The walls of this room are inset with deep shelves and alcoves. Some contain rotted blackened tatters of parchments. Others contain rusted tools that crumble when touched. Was their purpose ceremonial or torture? You will never know. The floor is strewn with many humanoid bones, picked clean. We're going to search through these bones. Should the party search this room, they will discover the body of a warrior. Even though her hair has turned to dry straw and her armor has long rusted, her bow is still intact. This is a short bow plus 1. Not only is this bow still intact, which is remarkable in itself, but it is almost overly carved. It looks like it was carved by somebody who makes fine furniture, where the hand grips the bow. Either side of it, there are carved swirls. The bow is made of 2 bits of wood and it curls like a really fine moustache with, again, finely turned bits of wood at either end, and it looks to be like a really dark mahogany. There's even a trace of a gold painted line along its length. Liz uses short bows, so regardless of whether or not it's magical, this really does impress her, so she will take that. And finally, Liz has a magic bow. Malin says, completely unexpectedly, "Do you mind if I take your old bow?" And Liz just looks at her old bow, just a piece of plain wood that she picked up in Threshold, and she says, "Yeah." And Malin looks at it and says to her, "You've had this bow since our first adventure in Castle Mistamere. It's been with you everywhere. You shot that carrion crawler on day 1, and you also shot a dragon through the eye with it. And I think this bow has saved us on many an occasion. Even if you don't want to keep it, can I keep it?" And Liz, who really doesn't have a sentimental bone in her body, shrugs and says, "Yeah, sure." Malin is going to keep Liz's old bow, which he cannot use of course, but it's a token of their adventures together to date and all the creatures his sister has killed, which has saved the day. Dull, plain, worn and weather-beaten though it is, it has memories for him even if it doesn't have for Liz. So with her very ornate carved, well-turned bow, she gives the string a twang and it chirps as though it's new. She slings that over her back and feels good about herself. I'm going to have to adjust her missile thaco and up her damage by 1, even though they haven't used detect magic on it yet. Just in passing, that bow is part of the treasure that I rolled for the entire dungeon. I rolled some unique treasure for this room based on the treasure type of a carrion crawler. A carrion crawler has treasure type B. And if we look at treasure type B, there's a 10% chance of 1 sword, armor or weapon. I rolled that 10%. So when I rolled for the type of magical item, I rolled for armor, I rolled for the type of armor, and I got 91, chainmail +2 and shield +3, which is an absolutely remarkable hoard for a couple of carrion crawlers. I scratched that. I thought that was too much for one small dungeon. But what I might do is I might save that for the very end of the whole module, that sort of boss level treasure. Liz, well pleased with herself, they move on and appear here. The corridor goes down this way. Carrick has enough orientation in subterranean places to realise it might meet up with here, or there might be more rooms down here. Let's pause for a bit while the party wait for Donard to come around, and we will set off again and explore this corridor. The party are going to make their way along here. That's 2 turns that brings them to this crossroads. They see a door to the south and the corridor going up north towards where they can see the dimly lit temple. I shall have Liz listen at the door. She hears noises. Troglodytes do have a form of speech, but she can't recognise it, and there seems to be quite a few of them. Let's roll for wandering monsters to see if there were any along this stretch. And there weren't any. Okay. I think Carrick would advise them to finish this perimeter, so we'll do another turn to creep up to here. I'll check for a wandering monster. There isn't any. And by the light of the lamp, you can sort of see the corridor ends here as they would have predicted, and it goes northward. So they shall stop there. There are 3 doors to check. I'm going to leave it here for this week. It's been a rather busy week for me, and apologies for the delay in getting this one finished. But hopefully we can clear out this dungeon next session, and if the party find any clues as to the mystery of the Isle of Dread, then, well, the story can push onward. So I shall see you all next time.